The sports world has always been a dynamic and often controversial space, but sometimes, a single headline can ignite an entire debate. That's exactly what happened when a prominent sports network found itself under fire for what many are calling an unnecessary headline involving women's basketball sensation Caitlin Clark. The network's coverage, meant to highlight Clark's incredible performances and rising stardom, instead drew backlash for its choice of wording, sparking widespread discussion across social media and sports circles. Caitlin Clark, the Iowa Hawkeyes standout star, has been a dominant force in women's college basketball. With her remarkable shooting skills, high basketball IQ, and undeniable presence on the court, Clark has captivated fans and analysts alike. She is one of the biggest names in the game, a player whose influence extends beyond college basketball and into the broader sports landscape. Every game she plays becomes a must-watch event, and every achievement she reaches is widely celebrated. However, the recent coverage from a leading sports network turned the spotlight away from her accomplishments and onto a headline that many felt was misleading, unnecessary, and even disrespectful. The headline in question was featured on the network's website and social media platforms, focusing on an aspect of Clark's performance that critics felt was sensationalized rather than informative. Instead of emphasizing her record-breaking feats or her significant impact on the sport, the network chose to frame the story in a way that many believed undermined her achievements. The backlash was swift, with fans, analysts, and even fellow athletes calling out the network for what they saw as a careless and reductive approach to covering one of the most exciting players in basketball today. Social media erupted with criticism, with many users pointing out how female athletes, particularly in basketball, are often subjected to a different standard of coverage compared to their male counterparts. Instead of highlighting their strengths, narratives sometimes veer into areas that do little justice to their abilities. For Caitlin Clark, who has proven time and again that she is one of the best players in the nation, this kind of coverage felt especially unwarranted. Fans rallied behind her, expressing frustration over the way the media sometimes diminishes the accomplishments of women in sports. This isn't the first time a sports network has faced scrutiny for its coverage of female athletes. The issue of gender bias in sports journalism has been widely discussed for years, with many advocating for fair and equitable representation of women's sports. The way headlines are framed can influence public perception, and when a top-tier athlete like Clark is subjected to coverage that feels exploitative rather than celebratory, it raises important questions about how women's sports are treated by major networks. In response to the backlash, the sports network issued a statement addressing the controversy. While they acknowledged the concerns raised by fans and analysts, their response did little to quell the outrage. Many felt the statement lacked sincerity and did not fully recognize the deeper issue at hand. The network defended its editorial choices while also expressing support for Clark and her achievements. However, the damage had already been done. The conversation had shifted from Clark's on-court brilliance to yet another example of how media coverage can sometimes fail female athletes. Caitlin Clark herself did not directly comment on the controversy, instead focusing on her game and her team's success. Those close to her, including teammates and coaches, subtly addressed the matter by emphasizing her hard work, dedication, and the importance of keeping the focus on her basketball journey rather than unnecessary distractions. Fans continued to flood social media with messages of support, ensuring that, despite the network's misstep, Clark's excellence remained the central narrative. Beyond this specific incident, the controversy reignited broader discussions about the way women's sports are covered in the media. Many pointed out the disparities between how male and female athletes are portrayed, especially when it comes to framing headlines and choosing narratives. While male athletes often receive coverage that highlights their skill, legacy, and leadership, female athletes sometimes find themselves the subject of articles that focus on external factors rather than their on-field performances. Several prominent figures in sports media weighed in on the situation, with some defending the network's editorial decisions while others agreed that the headline was unnecessary and poorly conceived. The divide showcased the ongoing challenges within sports journalism and the need for more thoughtful and respectful coverage of female athletes. While progress has been made in recent years, incidents like this serve as reminders that there is still work to be done. The backlash also led to discussions within sports media organizations about best practices for covering women's sports. Some journalists took the opportunity to highlight the importance of responsible reporting, advocating for a shift in how female athletes are covered.